Welcome back. This is the Poet is a Human with the Philosopher Dunamis on this week's episode number 48, Fight to Design Reality. Please be sure to hit that like button on your way in, and if you like us, consider subscribing to keep up with our episodes on YouTube and give us a follow on X.
And Fightcast is here to empower individuals to live healthier, master finances, pursue dreams, and inspire others through self-awareness and global impact. As always, this is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and not financial advice. Hey, is he human? How are you doing this week?
What's going on, man? I have been a mix of chilling, a mix of busy, mix of all of it. It's been a soup. It's been a nice soup, man. But other than that, I'm feeling pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've had a lot of hours at work,
Hmm.
which has been good. It's kept me busy. So in the same way, I've been very busy, but I've also had a vision this week on what's important, on what we're working towards.
Hmm.
And that's really what we're talking about this week. I think is designing reality, the big picture. What is our purpose? What is it that we're working towards?
Yeah.
We spoke a little bit offline about, I was working in the cooler at the grocery store, and
Right.
it might not be my favorite thing to do, but it's it's good work, man. It's good, honest work, and it's getting me a day closer and a dollar closer to the goals. All the stuff
Yeah.
that we need to accomplish. So, yeah, man, I wanted to talk this week about this topic because I think, I look at my job and I look at people around me, and I think that I think it's important to be intentional about life. I think that it could be easy to get caught up and start to get depressed about what things and circumstances and all of that's happening to you, and yet at the same time we're the authors of our own story. And so that's really been we had an episode already about your story, about and that's what designing reality is really about. I wanted to talk to you, Izzy, about if we can go back in time a little bit and just talk about the vision and becoming an artist, what your thoughts are on being intentional, making plans, and taking that first step, and how you can actually have a voice and a choice in what it is that you do in this life.
Yeah. A lot of artists and a lot of businesses, one of the biggest things that when it comes to getting this all started is knowing where to begin. And when you think about that, making the conscious decision that making music, being a music artist is what you want to do and how you're going to get there. The projections felt like they were a lot louder in the beginning than maybe me wanting to be a firefighter or an account executive or someone doing B2B, something that people would quote unquote deem as respectable. Um, but once you've made that, created that mantra in your head where this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, now what does it take? You know you have to, you have to do X, Y, and Z. Well, now you have to build a formula so you can continue to do X, Y, and Z. And depending on what you want to do with your art, whether you want to create a business with it or do you want to be a more freelance and how to navigate through that, you just have to be the one who put those tasks on the whiteboard, on the calendar. It gets tough in the waters. It gets tough in the waters when you're not organized. And
Oh yeah.
And time management has definitely been it's been the detriment to many creative artists, including myself. I remember early on when I went full time, I didn't know what the heck I was doing for about 4 months. It was just a bunch of time, and it felt like time. Now, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm not really too sure what day it is a lot of the days, and really what time it is a lot of the time. And I'm serious. I tell people that too. You, it, you get it, and a lot of
Yeah.
my
Oh yeah.
friends, a lot of my friends get it. But people, oh well, man, I'm working that 9 to 5 job, so it's not the same for me. I totally understand. I totally understand, and that was
Yeah.
not me saying that in a way to condescend what it is that you do, because it's all respect. Because either way, you have to manage your time,
Yeah.
whatever it means.
I sit somewhere in between. I think, I would love to be in that place where time is just not a thing. I would love to just be able to focus on, if nothing else, the seasons. I would
Yeah,
love to just be able to focus on the seasons, the spring, the summer, the fall, the harvest, all those natural things, but not your Monday through Friday, what day of the year, what day of the month, all that kind of stuff. And I actually I had forgotten the day of the week today. And so it was sort of funny that you bring that up, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's we've talked about flow state on this podcast before,
yeah,
about being in the moment. And the more you're in the moment, the more you lose track of those things. You lose track of the past and the future. I think that for the purpose of what we're talking about tonight, there's times when it makes sense to phase or sort of move your perspective in and out of different places. So in the case of a flow state, that's where you probably want to live most of your time. You want to be able to, and for those of our listeners that aren't familiar, and we're gonna talk about some of this stuff over and over again, I'm sure. But when you're focused on what is right in front of you, right here in the moment, if you're an artist, maybe you're making a piece of art, maybe you're a rapper and you're working on a lyric, a particular verse that you're writing. Maybe there's maybe you're a in my case, maybe you're working in a warehouse and you're trying to improve your time, and all you're doing is focused on that next order and putting that order in exactly correctly, you know. But whatever it is, being in a flow state, it's what naturally happens to your body, to your nervous system, when you're not really concerned about anything else other than what you're doing right there in the moment. And for the purpose of what we're talking about tonight, I think it also at times helps to zoom out and look into the future. And when you zoom out and look into the future, you can start to use your imagination and think about what's possible. What is it that it takes to just use your imagination and imagine something different? I think that when we were talking offline, and just the one quick thing I want to say is the moment I always think about is Drew Brees. And Drew Brees broke the record for yards passing in the NFL. It was a huge record that he broke, all time passing. And he runs over to his sons on the sidelines and he hugs both of his boys. And it's caught on the camera and the mic. He's telling them, you can be anything you want to be as long as you can work hard at it. And it it sort of stuck with me, and it's something that again, I'm not Drew Brees. It's not something that but it's something that reminds me, in on topic with what we're talking about tonight, that when they tell you when you're a little kid that you can be anything you want to be when you grow up, just how I didn't realize how absolutely true that is until I grew up and started to realize that, like, yeah, you can't be everything. You can't learn everything. You're not going to be able to get really good at everything you want to get good at. But if you pick one thing, and especially if you pick one thing that you're already kind of good at to start with, you can get really good at one thing, and you can, and it can be really anything you want it to be. So that's what I want to talk about tonight is just I don't know. I want to talk about how I want to break some of those barriers where people feel like they can't do things, or maybe if somebody feels stuck tonight, if you feel like you're stuck in a job, or you feel like you're stuck in a circumstance, a scenario in your life, you're stuck in difficult relationships, you're stuck in difficult circumstances. All I want to say is that your future and your life is exactly what you want it to be if you work at it to make it what you want it to be. It's that's the other thing too is I want to sort of I don't believe in the whole manifestation in the sense of The Secret. You know what I'm saying? Where people would say, "I'm going to think of something, wish for something, and this thing is just going to appear in front of me." However, it's a very small shade of difference in that I do think that we design our reality, and our reality is just what we are experiencing right now is a function. It's the outcome of everything that we believe and every choice that we've made up to this point. Everything that we've experienced today is really driven by the choices that we make, and the choices that we make are also largely driven by the things that we believe, right? If you believe that you are a billionaire, you're going to go out and do billionaire things. If you believe that you're poor, you're going to do poor people things. And life is very much about what you believe and what you do.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's like it's a causality effect. I was talking to Mr. E. We talk about this a lot, actually. Just everything. You do something, there's a reaction to it. That's just how the story goes, and that goes back into your mentality, and that shapes your reality ultimately. And I could dig deep and feel like this is the episode where I can get a little deeper into it. But uh, the I like to sleep at night to different frequencies, and people might say they work or they don't work, but whatever. But they work for me, and deep meditations or everything in abundance, mantras, daily journals, all of it, and being able to talk to myself nice and having that, like you said, that millionaire mentality. And I'm not gonna being a millionaire is defined by me. Being a millionaire is about being wealthy, right? It's about being well off and having everything in abundance. That's exactly what being a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire is. You have everything in abundance. And that's exactly how I feel every day. I have everything in abundance. I don't need a lot to live lavish or luxuriously, because all of those things are just materials to show others a status that's just temporary. It doesn't matter anyway. It's like if I dwell on one music video and don't put out any other music video after that, have I grown as an artist? No, I haven't. I'm harping over these numbers or this and the reception that it didn't get or whatever, or that it did get, or if it was a hit. I'm still dwelling on the hit and not wanting to, again, forward progression. So all of those things being said, being present is another key active ingredient into manifesting the things that you want, because you're not going to just get to the Porsche or the private jet by strictly just imagining it, right? You're absolutely going to get the things that you want when you place them into your head and you think about them all the time. When you think about them all the time, you're also thinking about the things that you should be doing to get there. If
Exactly.
you that's the biggest thing, and that's where you have to wire that. You have to wire that together and hardwire that together. Put a zero gauge on it and let that be your ground wire. Once you get that ground wire established, there's nothing that can break that. That's a tight grip. So we have that a lot. Where how many times have you had a conversation with somebody who, and it doesn't matter what, they could be in their 30s, they could be in their 60s, and let's say somebody he is a rocket scientist, right? Let's say he's making millions of dollars. Like, we're just gonna go crazy with it. And then let's say a gentleman is a retired veteran and he has received all of his benefits, his pensions, and is very well taken care of, and so is his family. But as you have a conversation with them, they say, "Well, I'll be honest with you, man. I always wanted to play the bass guitar, or I always wanted to be a slam poetry artist. I always thought that that'd be cool, and I was really good at it. But my parents always they said that never make a career out of doing that and raise a family like you, da 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 da." And there's a lot of that going around. And
Hmm.
it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's on TV. It's on the radio. It's literally everywhere, and it's so subliminal anymore that a lot of people don't catch it, but they still continue to walk that path. And it's just it's all right there for you. And it's not to say that these things are bad. It's just more of a, you don't have to let these things control you. That's all. Like,
Exactly. I've had a conversation tonight, in fact, about with someone else, but it was a conversation that was exactly this: the fact that I feel like I've spent so many years of my life doing what other people wanted me to do. It was I was whether I was pleasing my parents or pleasing someone in a relationship or pleasing even a sibling or a friend or whatever it was. I was never just listening to my own and doing things on my own. But now I do.
yeah,
So it's different now, but it's yeah, totally.
yeah. I've always had that same mentality of, I played a lot of sports in high school, so it was really tough to go to the off-season camps to get better at that sport when it was going to another sport. So I was always, mid best at a lot of those sports. Track, I was able to see some further success in that, and wrestling a little bit as well. Football was good. It was a good season. It was good to get recruited, but just looking at all of those things now and looking at just my life even before the sport, things that I did, from skateboarding to biking to rollerblading to you name it, man, tumbling and all these things. There were always a lot of things that, I tried and I was good at, and it was just one thing. There was always just the one thing. And as my life progressed, the one thing that always stayed in me was the music. Because all of these things that were going on in my life were experiences, even as a kid. So it didn't matter if I was 10 years old. I was still popping kick flips at 10 years old, and still doing heel flips at 10 years old. Like, that stuff is cool. I still talk about that stuff now. It's dope now. And it's been that blueprint. So that's always been the constant. I haven't I hadn't honed, or at least been able to, again, hardwire that to a zero gauge to say that is solely what I'm doing. Because if I was able to hop out of the pot, at 15 years old and really do that, I mean, hey, who knows? But it doesn't matter, because all of these things, like, it's been written, right? It's been written. Um, so the journey, looking back at it now, it's been pretty wondrous. It's been wondrous. It's been very character building for sure. But I think the biggest breath of fresh air was telling my college football coach that, I love football. It was a passion of mine, but music is the career. And just the amount of respect that I got from him, and I got from the rest of my teammates, and to even see that now when we have our reunions, and they're all asking how the music is, and how the family is. It's just a mutual respect of, these were the paths that we chose, and we're still able to come here together and still be like, yeah, this is fly, bro. This is the life. And that's what the finest is all about anyway. Whether you're making music or you have a dope family, or you're building your dream house, or you're building your dream label. That's what the finest is all about. And it's more than just music. For me and for you and for everybody, even on the label, this is about being able to do the things that we imagined. And now we're like, here are the steps to get that. You want the brick mansion, this is what you have to do.
Yeah, that's that's so crazy that so many people miss out on the steps you actually have to take to make these things happen. It's the but it does completely all start with visualizing, imagining what it is you actually want. So many people don't even know what it is they want. You have to, ask yourself. You have to sit down and say, what is it? What is it that I like? What is it that I want? I spent a lot of time asking myself these questions. It's not a bad thing to want for yourself. You have to have wants and desires for yourself as well as for others. A good, I feel like it's good for a man to desire to take care of other people. That's kind of, it's sort of built into us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with
Um,
that.
that's the good news that we're here to talk about tonight, because once you have a vision for what it is you actually want, achieving it is not as hard as you would actually think. And I only say that not to say that I've achieved everything that I want, but to say that I'm on the path, right? And I'm starting to see those things fall into place. I'm not there yet, right? Like there's so much more. I'm just at the beginning steps, but I'm I would not be here at the starting gate if I hadn't imagined it first. If I hadn't put the and took risks, you know,
Hmm.
put actual money where my mouth is and said, I'm actually going to save up for this thing. This is something I want so bad. I'm going to put enough effort towards it to make it worthwhile. That's really what it is. Whether you want to be a football player, whether you want to be a musician, whether you can't just say I want to be a rapper and come out the gate and do it. It's not going to happen. You know what? It takes work. Like you can't just start something and be good at it. And that's with every single thing in life. You have to put effort, and you have to want it, and you have to want it bad enough to be bad at it for a period of time, and work and work and work until you're good at it. And even beyond that, is a human, I would say, in the case of music, you might not only have to work until you're really good at it, you might have to work until you're really good at it and then overcome other external outside forces. It's not just, for most people, it's just 10,000 hours. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
For you, it's not just 10,000 hours, it's 10,000 hours and a system that isn't designed to work for you right now. I think
Yeah,
it will be, but
it's
you're,
like 10,000 hours in every facet you can think of. Yeah, and I feel like the state of the world, and just the state of confusion, and just all of the things that have layered up on, like, during the times, have just been expeditious. It's it's been heavy. It's been really heavy, y'all. I'm talking like a Gen Z, but I know that I can isolate myself, in a good way. I can isolate myself from those things. I can I can switch the show. I can turn the radio on or off. I can turn the computer off, turn the TV off. I can go outside. I can those those are my truths, those are my realities. That's how I move. That's how it is. So the the live a littles, the get out mores, I can understand that to a degree. I can. But to get out and live a little isn't doing the opposite of what you normally do. might be more to enhance the things that you already enjoy to do. If you like to make art, why don't you go to an art show?
Yeah.
But again, like, again, everything is within its own parameters. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. I like amusement parks. It might just be a day of from working on music and just spend a day at the amusement park and have that rush. It's fun. That's dope. It's just whatever. But just have fun doing it. Enjoy your life. Do what makes you happy, not what other people tell you to do. And you just have to have that mentality, man. And man, it's the toughest thing in the world. I know it is.
I
Because
love that you say that though, because when I hear that phrase "live a little," I think about exactly that. Somebody's trying to get you to do something that they want you to do, not what you want to do, right? That whole "live a little" phrase
yeah,
is dangerous, and but at the same time, like I think what you're saying is 100% true, and I think that for me, this year was a zoo membership, a zoo pass. I like taking
mm,
the kids to the zoo.
yeah, good
That's what
times.
I love to do that,
Nostalgia.
man. I just love being outside. I love getting outside. I love seeing the animals is great, but for me, it's just about I love taking walks. I think that's probably my favorite thing to do is to go outside and take a walk. And if I can go outside and take a walk in a beautiful place like the zoo, then it's just that much better, you know. So
Most definitely. I love being outside. That's one of my favorite things. And even when it's a little colder outside, I do enjoy it because it's a different pace. It sets a different pace. It sets a different mood, a different tone. It definitely changes a lot. And, especially with music, I definitely like to adapt with the seasons. So it's
mhm.
it's it's an important element for me to go out there and grasp that concept of, like, here we are. It's temporary. And this is the winter's right around the corner. It's definitely chilly up here. It's brisk. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It's brisk up here. It's like 50 something degrees and
Oh,
48
nice.
degrees. Yeah, it's awesome. Love it. Put on your coats now. No more tank tops. Um, but what I wanted to say was, to the people out there, I wanted to rephrase what I said earlier, that it's the toughest thing to do. It's not the toughest thing to do. And I think because we hear things like that, we hear that it is the toughest thing to do, so that we would rather not do it. But at the same time, goes back into, if you want something bad enough, you'll work hard for it. Doesn't matter what it is. If it doesn't matter if you want to be the best plumber, electrician, the best tech, the best whatever, the best Apple product maker, you got to put in the work, and it's not easy. You can say it's tough. It's just not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be a walk in the park. What makes it more difficult than what it needs to be is you not believing in yourself. As cliche as it sounds, I feel like I'm talking to a group of third graders right now, but I feel like we really do need to bring this back to the basics in order for people to really understand how, like, general and generic this is, and
Oh yeah.
novice, and just in its whole thought process. They have these game settings for kids and for people for a reason. You start at a novice, you start to know the controllers, you work your way to intermediate, you work your way to difficult, to hard, and then advanced. Life is that video game. I think about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think it was Californication. It was in the '90s. I was a kid, and I used to love that music video because it was a video game, and it really made me start to look at life a lot different. In reality, man, I really feel like I was seeing the grid as a kid and didn't even realize it. But that video game, it's just like me shaping my reality and, like, pressing the buttons. And, if you do this, you do this. If you do this, you do this. And it was like that. And there's always there's that soul brewing. And, people lose touch of that, or they sell it, for this or for that, because they don't want to think anymore, or they don't want to they don't want to just be like, you know what, let's get a bus and let's just travel the world. There's just some people just want a little bit more structure behind that.
Hmm.
And I think that And again, I'm not knocking it. Listen, whatever it is that you're doing, be great at it. Love what you do, and spread positive in this world, to let other people know that the gatekeeping, it doesn't exist, and it only exists because people say it does, but it actually doesn't exist.
It's value. We all like what you're saying there too. It's I think that everyone needs to find their own happiness, because happiness is in the eyes of the person that's enjoying the happiness, right? But we also all create value, and value is something that's in the eyes of other people,
Right.
which is really kind of a crazy thing, right?
Mhm.
So I think about, even music is one of those crazy things, and I think the best music is created. The best music is created by the artist for the artist.
Mm.
But at the same time, I think that for the listener to enjoy it, the listener has to find value in it, right? And so value is always going to become from the point of view of the consumer. But to be a producer is what we're talking about on this podcast. To When you design your reality, I will say this, and we're not heavy-handed about a lot of the things that we say on this podcast. I think anything that you want to do is a fantastic idea. But I will say that when you go to find your purpose in life, you should go to look at your purpose in life from the point of view of being a producer. You,
Mm.
what is it that you can create? What is it that you can manifest and make out of nothing? If you can create art or food or hugs, whatever it is that you manifest, that you create, that's you. That's what it is. You're creating value for other people. Is a human, if I come and give you a hug, I'm not just doing it for me. I'm creating value for you, right? Hopefully, if you enjoy it. It's the same thing with music. It's the same thing with anything that we do. When I start raising chickens, I'm going to be producing a lot of eggs, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Hopefully those eggs have value. I'm going to start by eating them with my family, but hopefully there's some people that I know that will find value in them and will exchange some dollars with me for those eggs, right?
Right.
So that's I know that's really crazy, but to break everything in life down to that, what is it that you can create that's valuable for other people? And what is it that, while you're creating that value for other people, brings you enjoyment at the same time? How can you find happiness for you while you're at the same time creating value for others? Is a human, I think you have personally, found the sweet spot in terms of what that might look like for somebody. But it doesn't have to be music. It could be anything. But music is an incredibly enjoyable thing for a lot of people to do. I would I love music. I've I think that it can also be multiple things, and that's another thing for people to take a look at, is that your one thing doesn't have to be one thing. You can make music as well as make food, as well as make clothes, as well as make merch, as well as make all of these other things. So like you can make moves in different areas and have multiple income streams. And this is where you just need to use your imagination and think about, maybe there's one thing that you really, really love. Maybe you like to work with wood. Let's just use that example. You love wood, you love everything about wood, and you want to get into that. Well, maybe you start by learning how to to work with wood, but maybe you end up making burning wood and making signs and doing other things, and then you end up getting into botany and learning how to plant trees, and you want to learn how wood grows. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just talking about how some of these different things expand out. You start off learning about one thing, but that one thing you learn about should just open the door to what else is possible.
Yeah.
And I know I'm sort of talking off into space here a little bit, but and this is more your realm than mine, Izzy, normally. But I think that we all have the power to imagine. We can imaginate our future, and we should all do that.
Yeah, I definitely feel like when it came to the music, it was more about creating the music. It was more about just getting the product out, less about the paperwork end of it, learning about the PROs, learning about all of the mechanical license agencies. There was a lot that came with it to be legitimate. And for Shaggy and me, that was our biggest highlight was having these 20 plus artists on our team that are legitimate, and us being legitimate and presenting this paperwork to these organizations, these corporations for grants, funding, all of it. And a lot of new terms, just a lot of a lot of new ways to move. And the longevity project of this, it's become more important now than it's ever been. I feel like that project has been building since the beginning. I feel like even on Shaggy's end, Shaggy was very much on the other side of the railroad tracks, y'all. But his just his strategy and the way that he moved, in his life, to set himself up for this, you, myself. And then when you have these ideas, right, and you have these quality ideas, you start to attract more quality people. So then that's where the value comes in, right? What you were mentioning, you attract these quality people, you get these quality ideas, and there's value to be taken away from that. And you see how people are innovative in their own ways, but the highlight is they're innovative. You're around a bunch of innovators. Your community is a bunch of innovators because that's what you wanted to be, and that's where you chose to walk. So again, it's your reality, the way that you design it. And again, it doesn't have to be uh, exactly what you do, but just people that don't see the limit. I'm around a bunch of people that don't see limits, so naturally I don't have limits. But that started with me, so it's like this awesome dharma loop, because there's a difference between karma and dharma. I just learned that karma is actually kind of like the black end of it, and not to say that in a funny way. Fight me in the comments, but kind of like the dark end of it.
Yeah.
Whereas dharma is the good, the good that comes with it.
Ah,
So
okay.
yeah, I learned that. I might also still be wrong, but hey, find me in the comments if I am, so that way I can get these things right, so I can put them in my rap songs.
I like that, and I'm still, I just gotta say before I move on that I'm still a little upset at the show Lost, that they never explained what the Dharma Initiative was even about, man. Like, they get they get to the
Hey,
end of the show and they got the Dharma Initiative thing going on, and but that is an awesome word. I'm gonna have to dig more into that
yeah, yeah, me
after this is
too.
done.
Right?
The
Yeah,
yeah, I think so much about this designing reality is really just making up your own mind about what you want to do. And if and the crazy thing is like for people, there's going to be so many people that think this is too simple, or it doesn't make sense, or that it's not going to work for them or whatever it is, but it actually works because it's that simple. If you want to do something different, you imagine what it is you want to do, and then you make goals that help you get towards that, and you take steps and work towards achieving those goals. It's we're still at the very beginning. We're still at the very beginning with so much of this stuff, with this podcast, with Fight, with the homestead, with your record label, all of this. We're like in infancy stages of so many of these projects. And I think about some of these long-term things that I've got going on. One of the things I want to build on my homestead is a living fence. So there's this thing they call a Belgium fence, if you look it up. But the idea is you plant trees next to each other, and then you selectively prune the trees where their branches at 45-degree angles cross, and then you sort of tie them together. And the trees, these multiple trees, they graft together. And since they're living, they'll actually become a single living organism.
That's pretty dope. That makes sense though. That makes sense though, because when you can do like apples or whatever, like if you put something in a cup and you like cut it and put it on the tree and then you like let it go for however long, then it like grows roots out of the tree and like is that not us though as humans,
Mhm.
like when you think about it? Now that might be a whole nother episode. I'm one of those I touch grass and all of that. Everything, we are the roots, we are the soil. Everything starts with your food because if your soil is not good, then what you eat is not going to be good, and you got to think about it like that. So even when you think about your food and how that goes against the grain of how you're naturally supposed to move when you think about all of the processed foods and how it breaks down your immune system, but then it also builds other immunities, but then you're also susceptible for other things. There's just so much science behind this stuff, but it's not. The science of it is just knowing like what healthy actually means versus just thinking that you're getting an organic carrot at the grocery store
Oh
and
my goodness.
you're receiving the most benefits out of it because all of you Whole Food shoppers, and I'm guilty of this, but the only reason why I'm guilty of going to Whole Foods is to get their freaking uh what is it, their black truffle slice of pizza. I don't even go there to get healthy things. I go there to get a slice of pizza. But yeah, all you Whole Food shoppers, not all organic is organic, and you're actually paying more for it for maybe no reason at all. Plant your own food.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's just the message of this entire podcast is exactly what you're saying here. Everything I think you said is 100% correct, man.
I just think overall, just overall, and it sounds like a beaten horse. I know you've kind of nailed a lot of points here already of it. It's just don't stop imagining. Those daydreams that you had when you're kids, and they said, "Hey, just get out of it, snap out of it." Those are a lot of Elon Musk's and a lot of Jeff Bezos and heck, president's not an easy job either. But heck, somebody had to be one, and somebody had to think to be one. And it's pretty clear in your head more times than it's not. I think when it becomes less clear is when you again just let other interferences and waves come in and push you 6 degrees apart from what you're, I don't want to say actually supposed to be doing, but what you're supposed to be doing for yourself. I think I fall into that sometimes. I think even at times I may not have the right words. And I think that is it because I don't have the right words, or maybe I'm just not in the right room, and there's a lot of things that come into that, and I feel like the more in tune you become with yourself, the more you're able to feel those things and the more confident you are with being able to walk out of a room. And being more intentional about who you are and your boundaries and your levels of, and how you exist in this world. And, respect is, yeah, I feel like respect is kind of the causality of that because,
Hmm.
again, the more you draw your lines in the sand and the more you express those boundaries and not to, be rude about it. But I think we all need to have those boundaries and we need to have that line of respect because then there becomes a level of accountability with that as well. If I know that Bob works out every day and it's been 2 weeks and he hasn't worked out, I may need to be like, Bob, you need to get off your ass, all right? And say, hey, we need to get in the gym or something. What's up? But there's a lot of words that come into play after that too, and just integrity, honor, all of these things come into play, man. So, but it all starts with you again. And I'm like, I visualize what I'm doing with the song. I visualize the song being complete. I
Hmm.
visualize the process. I visualize us doing the podcast. I visualize the podcast being done. I visualized a label. Here's what it took to do the label. All right, cool. This is what had to be done, but it's each step. It's step by step. You can't miss steps. You'll fall back every time. That's the
Hmm.
one thing I can tell you for certain. We may not be able to give you financial advice, but what I will say is if you skip steps, you will fall.
Yeah. The cool thing again that we said last week is not to be too afraid of falling either.
Yeah.
So if you do fall, which we all do, y- um, a- one of the interesting things about designing your reality is it happens in real time, and it happens through observation, and you you shouldn't react, but you should respond. So you should have, you move through life, you have a goal, you have a vision, you have a place you want to go, and then something happens. That something that happens could be something that benefits you, or it could be something contrary to your goal. And if it's something contrary to your goal, that's where we get into the philosophy of Marcus Aurelius talking about the obstacle is the way, right? You have something that comes into your way, and it's oh man, this is keeping me from getting to my goal. But oftentimes facing that obstacle is what gets you to your goal or gets you closer to your goal. And the coolest thing about life in this game that we talk about tonight, and I love this conversation, man, it's so amazing. This this game that we're playing is one that you learn as you go. So, as I said earlier this evening, I started out this life. You grow up. You're doing what your parents tell you to do, and then you're doing what they tell you to do in school, and then you're doing what maybe your older brother, older sister, or maybe even younger brother, younger sister says you should probably do, and you're doing what your friends tell you should do, and then you meet a girl or a boy that you like, and you're dating, and then you're doing what they tell you should do, and then you get married, and you're doing what your spouse tells you should do, and I got to the point where I just realized, and I'm beginning to understand that this happens to a lot of people around in their 40s. But you get to the point where you realize I've done this my whole life, and I'm ready to do what I want to do because you know what? God speaks to me, and when He tells me that I need to do something, I'm going to do that. And I need to do that regardless of whether it makes my parents unhappy, regardless of whether it makes my brother and sister unhappy or my spouse unhappy. These are things that are delicate and not great. And I've spent years after going through a divorce because I did things the wrong way. And now at this point I'm determined, if not to do things the right way, at least to do things the way that I think God wants me to do them. Not even my way. I want to do it the way that in my head that I think God wants me to do them. You know, I can't even say the way that God wants me to do them because I could be crazy. I have no clue. You know what I mean? I only know what I know. And but I really believe now, and I've started to see that whatever you put your mind to, whatever you focus on, becomes your reality. It's whatever you spend your time on. If you spend your time, if you take actions, if you are always focused on something, you're going to ultimately receive what it is you're focused on, you know? So
I agree with that. I agree with all of it. I can't agree with it any more than I have, for almost the hour.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, I think, important for myself, and I can't say necessarily for the listeners, but I think it's important for myself to get over that imposter syndrome from time to time, even now. And I've gone, I've I've spent years, went through the process of learning how to become a software engineer. And I went from not knowing how to do that to being really, really fantastic at it, to not being able to get a job, for whatever reason. And what's crazy is I'm going to have to go through that same entire process as a homesteader. I'm going to have to, just absolutely not know anything about how to raise chickens. My mother has raised chickens. My sister has raised chickens. I like to eat eggs, but I've never raised chickens. So that's going to be an interesting, exciting thing for me, just in the same way that, I imagine at one point in time you made your first beat, you made your first rap, you made your first verse, you made your first song, you know, and then you built from that, and every little time you did something different, you observed, you saw something that you either liked or didn't like, and you made a change. And all of those choices and all of those changes have brought you to what it is that you do today. And, and we're going to continue to do that going forward. And that's what's exciting, is because all you have to do to design your reality is observe. You just have to be the observer. You have to be conscious. You can't go through life half awake, half trying. You actually have to wake up. You have to wake up and recognize that if you're not happy, that you can change it. But you can't actually change it unless you take the action to change it. And if you're too afraid to take the action, then you have to get over that fear. And we say this, we're both on the journey, man. And we're both going for plan A, and there's no plan B, and who knows if we succeed, or somebody reads about us 2 years from now, and I end up in a ditch somewhere. I won't go there. I'm sorry. We'll edit that out. But
I
yeah,
put that in a song, actually, and then I put in the song "Nevermind," and then "Blase Blase" at that point.
there
So
we go.
it's just really funny that you said that. Actually, I
Well, then we have to
I
leave it in.
yeah, for sure. Just write it down, man. Write it down. All the most successful people always write stuff down. I don't think you can really fail if you just get one task done at a time. I think if you really wanted to start something from scratch, whether it be a recipe or how to fold your covers in a fancy way, you just have to take that first step and all of it, and dedicate a little bit of time. Even if you've never had a savings account before, if you put $5 back, and you're not going to miss $5 or 50 cents or whatever it is. And like you said, if you don't like it, you do have the option to change it.
At any point in time.
Yeah.
That's such great advice. And I think we're at time, but this has been such a great conversation again, as always, Izzy. I think that this is one of those great esoteric episodes that lets us all dig into our imaginations and just break hopefully break some of the fear and break some of the things that are holding people back, you know?
Most definitely. I look forward to the next one.
Of course, man. And as always, as a human, never give up the fight.
Never give up the fight.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, your check is I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they drag the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race, life is a chase. I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds, they can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they drag the chains, you can say no, free me.